Welcome back to my channel. Today we have a very hot topic made specifically for the DC community, Dark Legion. As you already know, in these 2 weeks, my server is simultaneously featuring two extremely powerful and highly anticipated mythic characters, Constantine and Swamp Thing. This simultaneous appearance is definitely making many players wonder, which hero should you prioritize your resources on to optimize your team's power? Which character will bring long-term value or best fit your playstyle in the current meta? That is why the purpose of this video is to deliver the most in-depth and fair comparison. We will analyze everything in detail, from core roles, skill sets, legacy effects, to their practical applications in both PvE and PvP. Hopefully, through this video, you will have enough data and guidance to make the smartest decision and fully take advantage of the limited opportunities within these 2 event weeks. Let's get started right away. To begin, we need to clearly define the core roles of these two characters, because this is the key factor that determines how you will use them and build your team around them. Constantine is defined as a pure DPS, also known as a pure damage dealer. He is a spiritual damage machine with the ability to unleash explosive burst damage after building up. Every skill and mechanic of Constantine revolves around maximizing ATK and spiritual amp to achieve the highest possible damage output. In other words, when you choose Constantine, you are looking for a character who stays in the backline and finishes opponents with ultimate attacks that have extremely high damage ratios. On the other hand, Swamp Thing is a more tactical character, acting as a secondary damage dealer combined with control and support. Although he still deals spiritual damage, the core strength of Swamp Thing lies in his ability to control the battle and protect the team by reducing the enemy's energy and providing damage reduction buffs. Therefore, when building Swamp Thing, aside from needing some ATK to maintain stable damage, you will also need to prioritize defensive stats like HP and DEF so he can stay on the battlefield longer and continuously apply control pressure. In short, the fundamental difference is Constantine is damage focusing on offense, while Swamp Thing is utility focusing on defense and control. To understand more clearly the difference between these two characters, let's dive into their hearts, the skill sets. This is where the design philosophy of each hero is shown most clearly. First is the damage aspect. It is obvious that Constantine completely dominates in this area. His ultimate not only has a high base ATK ratio, but can also be amplified up to 1250% ATK after activating both layers of Black Magic Surge. This is an insane number, turning Constantine into a destructive weapon, especially effective in burst damage on single targets. In addition, the burn effect with 110% ATK damage per second is also a very significant damage over time source, allowing him to maintain constant pressure on bosses or tanky targets. Swamp Thing, although still dealing spiritual damage, has an ultimate that only reaches 720% ATK. His pure damage is clearly much lower than Constantine, and because he is a warrior, his ATK stat also cannot be higher than Constantine's. But this is a deliberate trade-off to gain advantages in another aspect. The second aspect, and also the superior strength of Swamp Thing, is control and utility. While Constantine has almost no hard control, Swamp Thing is the king of energy control. His most important skill is the ultimate passive, which immediately reduces 35% skill energy of all enemies at the start of the battle. This effect is a curse on the enemy team, significantly slowing down their ability to unleash their ultimates, giving your team a speed advantage. This is extremely effective when facing the Legion of Doom faction, the faction that has Lex Luthor, a character who gives allies 40 energy right at the start of the match, along with many other heroes who can also increase energy at the beginning. Not only that, both Skill 1, Vine Lash, and Ultimate Overgrowth continue to drain 20% of the target's current energy, creating a very annoying loop of energy control. Finally is Team Support. Both have buffs from the Justice League Dark faction, but in different ways. Constantine simply increases 25% ATK based on the number of Justice League Dark allies, a basic but effective damage buff. In contrast, Swamp Thing brings invaluable defense with his Swamp Surge skill, summoning the swamp to help allies receive 40% less damage, and if in a Justice League Dark team, this number is doubled. This is one of the most valuable defensive buffs, making your team extremely durable and hard to take down, especially in long battles or PvP. Now we will dive into the factor that unlocks the hidden power of each character, which is legacy. This is where their design philosophy becomes the clearest once they reach their ultimate strength. First is the first legacy skill. Constantine's Relic Synchronicity is a fairly simple damage boosting tool. It creates an additional small AoE shockwave whenever he uses a skill or ultimate, contributing a small amount to his total damage output. In contrast, Swamp Thing's Relic, Green Knight, is a highly tactical defensive skill. When the battle starts, it immediately applies the Nature's Curse effect to all enemies, reducing their ATK by 30% and their critical rate by 30%. This is an active defensive mechanism that significantly reduces the damage your team receives right from the first seconds, countering fast burst damage team compositions. Next is the second legacy skill. Constantine possesses Mystic Strike, which increases 10% spiritual pen, and more importantly, permanently increases his spiritual amp every time he uses a skill, stacking up to 15%. This strongly reinforces his DPS role, making his damage more difficult to resist and stronger over time. Meanwhile, Swamp Thing has Regrowth. Besides increasing 10% ultimate damage, the important part of this skill is its ability to regenerate 4% of missing HP every 5 seconds. This regeneration helps Swamp Thing become tankier and stay on the battlefield longer, allowing him to continuously maintain his energy control pressure. In summary regarding Legacy, Constantine's Legacy focuses entirely on enhancing pure damage and penetration. Meanwhile, Swamp Thing's Legacy leans toward control, reducing enemy damage and increasing his own survivability. This once again clearly highlights their two opposite combat styles and supports your decision-making depending on the needs of your team. After analyzing their skill sets and legacy in detail, now it's time to make the final decision. The choice between Constantine and Swamp Thing completely depends on your goals and your current team in DC, Dark Legion. First, consider the PvE environment. In these activities, the most important factors are burst damage and sustained damage. In this aspect, Constantine totally dominates. His explosive ultimate, up to 1250% ATK, combined with burn damage over time, makes him the optimal choice to maximize damage on bosses or clear waves of mobs in dungeons. Swamp Thing's energy control is not very necessary in PvE, making him less effective at shortening fight duration. Next is the PvP environment. This is Swamp Thing's playground. In PvP, ultimate speed and team protection are the keys. Swamp Thing's ability to reduce enemy skill energy by 35% right at the start of the match gives your team a timing advantage, allowing you to use ultimates before the opponent. In addition, the Green Knight Legacy reduces enemy ATK and critical rate heavily, together with the Swamp buff that reduces received damage by 40%, making teams with Swamp Thing extremely tanky and hard to one-shot. Constantine can still surprise opponents with damage, but he is riskier because he needs time to build up and is easily controlled from the start of the match. Both belong to the Justice League Dark faction. If you don't have Constantine yet, then you should not pick Swamp Thing, because he is not the main damage dealer, even though he is a warrior. Constantine is the main damage dealer for Justice League Dark. Swamp Thing is a factor that helps Constantine survive better because you will struggle against assassin teams, especially when facing the Legion of Doom faction. You will never win if you do not have Swamp Thing. Now it is time to end the video and summarize the key points. If we must summarize in one sentence, we can assert, Constantine is the king of pure damage, while Swamp Thing is the king of control and utility. The choice is not about who is stronger, but who better fits what your team is missing. If you are struggling in PvE and need explosive damage to clear content, choose Constantine. Conversely, if you already have stable DPS and want to improve your standing in PvP, control opponents, and increase defense, Swamp Thing is an excellent addition. Remember, this opportunity only lasts 2 weeks for Constantine, so look closely at your current team, consider carefully, and make the smartest decision. Personally, I think I will draw Constantine because mine does not yet have 5 red stars. Finally, don't forget to like and share this video with other DC Dark Legion players, And comment to tell me whether you finally summoned Constantine or Swamp Thing. Good luck to all of you, and may you get the character you want.